So now it's my turn to discuss the polity questions. Now, before discussing the polity question, I want to just share a interesting coincidence. I don't claim anything, it is just an interesting coincidence which I believe all students of our integrated batch, which we started in April, will support, and that is the questions which are asked in the prelims polity section. Exactly we have started doing the polity from there itself. So I am simply saying it is a coincidence, but it gives a reason to just feel good. Fine. And you all must be realizing that we have spent good amount of time just discussing the presidential election, the amendment, fundamental rights, 9th schedule, and not only the students like who have given exam, I believe that the integrated batch students would also must have been found themselves in a comfortable zone. Now, what is my take on the paper? So I believe it is a paper of UPSC standards. As usual, every year there are certain questions which are unpredictable. We can say that this time there is a comparatively greater proportion of the questions which are factual questions, but which are based on the government policies, government missions, and which are being asked. It means that while doing the current affairs, for example, Har Ghar Tiranga movement or amendments in the Prison Reforms Act, etc., these type of things. So whenever you study the current, you need to understand the basics of it. Fine. So now let us start the discussion. The first question, always a conceptual question. My questions are like in the sequence of B, that answer booklet or booklet B, but it doesn't matter. We have collected a questions. I think there are around 14 questions from polity. So now let's do it. Fine. So the first question, as usual, favorite question, and all political science students, they already do it theoretically. And the question is, in essence, what does the due process of law means? So due process of law, whether you talk about Aristotle or you talk about the medieval philosophers, they have always talked about the due process of law. So due process of law means reason. What is reasonable? Fine. Whether a reasonable person will be ready to give up his life, liberty and property in an arbitrary manner. The idea is no. In Magna Carta, in American War of Independence, the idea of the due process of law has been incorporated. It has been primarily based on the ideas of John Locke. And what does the due process of law suggest? It examines the fairness of the law. So, obviously, the due process of law, what does it explain? Does it explain equality before law? No. Equality before law is a part of rule of law. Does it explain the fair application of law? No. It is not fair application of law. So, the procedure established by law? No. Because the procedure established by law, after all, due process of law and the procedure established by law, What are these? These are the doctrines of judicial review, which judiciary applies to examine the validity of an act. So, procedure established by law is limited to examine the validity of an act of executive, whereas due process of law also involves examining the validity of the act of parliament. Fine. So, basically due process of law is known as principle of natural justice. Even in Menaka Gandhi case, Supreme Court has highlighted that a law has to be fair, just and reasonable. If you remember these three terms of Menaka Gandhi case, you can easily suggest what exactly is a due process of law. So, due process of law means principles of natural justice. Fine. A conceptual question, and I don't think this will ever be a problem for political science students because we know it theoretically also. So, now come to the next question. Consider the following statements. In India, prisons are managed by the state government. Fine, correct. Fine. With their own rules and regulations for day-to-day administration of the prison. Correct. If you see the state list, entry number 4, it talks about prison, their administration, their management, where state governments have a role. So, statement 1 is correct. Now comes to the second statement. In India, prisons are governed by the Prisons Act 1894, which expressly kept the subject of prisons in the control of provincial governments. Fine. This statement is correct. And why this question? Because recently there has been a effort by the government to reform the prisons. Fine. So, prisons, as I told you maybe in one of the lectures on Foucault, that there are two conceptions behind the prisons. Fine. What is the earlier conception? The earlier conception is that prisons are the place for punishment, for the coercion, for the repression. But the modern prisons, which Foucault has talked about in his book or in his concept related to panopticon, are the places for reforms. And recently government has also brought an idea that prisons should strengthen the reformative angle of it. Fine. So, there are various things. Whenever any current event comes, try to link with those things so that you can understand and approach the things conceptually. So, I was just telling why this question. Fine. But if we have to see the question specifically, the question is asking, are the two statements correct? So, these two statements are independently correct. Fine. But the question is that statement 2 explains the statement 1, or is statement 2 the basis of statement 1? The answer is no. Fine. Because this is an act, this is a statutory law, and this is there in the Constitution. So, statutory law is a derivative of the Constitution. Fine. And constitutional law is always original. So, we cannot say that statement 2 is an explanation of statement 1. Fine. We could have said that statement 1 is an explanation of statement 2. But here what position we will see? Both the two statements are correct and statement 2 is not the correct explanation. So, I will go for B as an option. Now, which of the following statement best reflect the chief purpose of the Constitution? So, I'll say that in the integrated batch, the moment we started, I always start from this very question, and I'm really happy to know the reactions of the integrated batch students. Fine. So, constitution. So, constitution, what is the purpose of constitution? Constitution is a rule book. Who is the father of constitutionalism? Aristotle. So, what is the purpose of constitutionalism? To limit the powers of government. So, the answer is going to be C. So, the chief purpose of the constitution is to define and limit the power of government. Can the purpose of constitution be determine the objective for making the necessary law? But you have to pay attention. They are asking chief purpose. मुख्य लक्ष्य क्या है? तो मुख्य लक्ष्य ये है. ये क्या मुख्य लक्ष्य है? सोशल जस्टिस, सोशल इक्वालिटी, सोशल सिक्योरिटी नहीं. So when I discussed about the transformative constitution, etc., that Indian constitution is like this, but in general, this is not the principle. It enables the creation of political offices and government है. ये भी एक पर्पस है, बट यहां पर की वर्ड क्या है इस क्वेश्चन में? चीफ पर्पस. फाइन. सो आंसर बिकम्स सी. चलिए अब नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन देखिए. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन क्या है? What we have done in the 9th schedule. I tried to explain the First Amendment Act. Fine. So, in India, which one of the following constitutional amendments was widely believed to be enacted to overcome the judicial interpretations of fundamental rights? You know that the first case on the judicial interpretation of fundamental rights, when related to the fundamental rights and directive principles, was Champakam Torai Rajan case. Now, to overcome this dilemma, Supreme Court had suggested that government cannot limit the fundamental rights by simple or by ordinary law. But if they want to do so, they aim to abridge the fundamental right, they can do so only by bringing the amendment. After which the First Amendment was introduced. First Amendment introduced two very important articles. Article 31A, which grants protection to certain law, and Article 31B, which introduces 9th schedule, which is often considered as the black hole of the constitution because it grants protection to the laws even if they infringe the fundamental rights. So here the answer is First Amendment Act. Now a simple question. Fine. The simple question is, consider the following organizations and which is a constitutional body. Fine. So which organization is a constitutional body? There is a slight mistake in the question. The actual question has been the constitutional body. Fine. So the answer is National Commission for Backward Classes, Article 338B, and it has been introduced by 102nd Amendment Act in 2018. So earlier it was a statutory body, but now it's a constitutional body. Law Commission is not a constitutional body. NHRC and Consumer Dispute, it is not a constitutional body. So the answer is only one. Now, this question, see how much time we have actually invested in doing president's election, and now you may have realized that what is the benefit of doing things in detail. Fine. So the article question is saying, consider the following statement and how many statements are correct. If the election of the President of India is declared void by the Supreme Court of India, all acts done by him in performance of the duties of his or her office before the date of decision will become invalid. No, they will not become invalid. ठीक है, तो इसके लिए आर्टिकल भी है. I'll mention you the article which you can see. ठीक है, तो आर्टिकल क्या है? आर्टिकल 71 क्लॉज 2 है. लेकिन आपको क्या समझना है? आप you could have done it by logic also. तो लॉजिक क्या है कि because president is a nominal head, फाइन, तो वो नॉमिनल हेड है. रियल पावर किसके पास होती है? रियल पावर लाइज विद प्राइम मिनिस्टर, काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर. तो किंग कैन डू नो रॉन्ग का कंसेप्ट है. जब प्रेसिडेंट के पास कोई रियल पावर ही नहीं है तो एक्ट इनवैलिड करने का प्रश्न उठता ही नहीं है. अब है इलेक्शन फॉर द पोस्ट, यानी कि ये क्वेश्चन क्या हो गया? ये ऑप्शन गलत हो गया. Election for the post of President of India can be postponed on the ground that some legislative assemblies have been dissolved and elections are yet to take place. तो ये भी आंसर गलत है. एक तो आर्टिकल 71 क्लॉज 4 में ये डायरेक्टली लिख दिया गया है. फाइन, कि इसमें क्या लिखा गया है? दैट the election of the president shall not be called into question on the ground of any vacancy in the electoral college. यानी कि इलेक्टोरल कॉलेज में वैकेंसी हो तो उस बेसिस पर प्रेसिडेंट्स इलेक्शन will not be declared इनवैलिड. एट द सेम टाइम मैंने क्लास में कई बार ये बताया है कि इसका लॉजिक क्या है, क्योंकि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन यही कहता है कि प्रेसिडेंशियल इलेक्शन शुड बी कंप्लीटेड बिफोर द एक्सपायरी ऑफ द टर्म इन नॉर्मल सिनेरियो. फाइन, और इन केस ऑफ द डेथ ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट इट शुड नॉट बी डिलेड फॉर मोर देन 6 months. तो अब उसका लॉजिक क्या है? लॉजिक ये है कि प्रेसिडेंट हैज टू समन द सेशंस. फिर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में क्या लिखा हुआ है? नॉट मोर देन 6 months लैप्स. तो अगर हम if we study constitution by connecting the things, we can easily remember and we will never go wrong. ठीक है, तो election for the post of president of India can be postponed on the ground? No. So even this is wrong and this is wrong. When a bill is presented to the president, constitution prescribes time limit within which it has to be passed. तो ये भी wrong है. All the three are wrong. So answer becomes C. Because यही तो एक मुद्दा है. This is one of the debatable issue कि the pocket veto of Indian president is much and much wider than the pocket veto of American president. तो कई बच्चे कंफ्यूज रहते हैं. वो समझते हैं कि वो जो भी टाइम लिमिट है वो सिर्फ राज्यसभा में है, वो भी किस में? ओनली इन केस ऑफ मनी बिल. इवन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अमेंडमेंट बिल में टाइम लिमिट नहीं दी गई है. ठीक है, तो ये चीज आपको ध्यान में रखनी होगी. तो आंसर हो गया सी. अब हम नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन पे जाते हैं. विद रेफरेंस टू फाइनेंस बिल एंड मनी बिल इन द इंडियन पार्लियामेंट कंसीडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट्स. तो सबसे पहली बात, मनी बिल कहां पे है? आर्टिकल 110 में वो क्लॉजेस दिए हुए हैं जिसके बेसिस पर ये बताया जाता है कि ओनली इफ दिस एंड दिस मैटर इज देयर तो हम उसको बोलते हैं मनी बिल. फाइन, और मनी बिल को पास करने की प्रोसीजर कहां है? आर्टिकल 109 में. तो प्रोसीजर पहले दी गई है और बिल में क्या क्या चीजें आएंगी वो उसके बाद दिया गया है. ठीक है, तो 109 क्लॉज 2 में ये चीजें दी गई हैं कि राज्यसभा हैज ओवर ओनली डिलेइंग पावर. फाइन, इट कैन नॉट सजेस्ट एनी अमेंडमेंट्स एक्सेट्रा. नाउ if I talk about finance bill, तो finance bill and money bill is different. Fine, I can say that every money bill is a finance bill, but every finance bill is not a money bill. So if you see Article 117, you will find that there are two types of finance bills, which in certain books, for the sake of simplification, is mentioned as finance bill category A and finance bill कैटेगरी बी. तो फाइनेंस बिल कैटेगरी ए क्या होता है और ये क्वेश्चन किससे लिंक्ड है? ये क्वेश्चन लिंक्ड है कि जब आधार एक्ट आया था तो उसको आप मनी बिल की तरह पास कर रहे थे, लेकिन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल एक्सपर्ट्स के हिसाब से क्योंकि इसमें आर्टिकल 110 के अलावा भी इश्यूज थे, तो इसको आइडियली फाइनेंस बिल के रूप में पास करना चाहिए. तो अब फाइनेंस बिल ए एंड बी में क्या डिफरेंस है? तो सबसे पहले यही फॉर्मूला आप याद रखिए कि एवरी मनी बिल इज अ फाइनेंस बिल, बट एवरी फाइनेंस बिल इज नॉट अ मनी बिल. ठीक है, तो अब फाइनेंस बिल कैटेगरी ए में हम जाते हैं. तो फाइनेंस बिल कैटेगरी ए में वो बिल्स हैं जिसमें सब्जेक्ट्स, वो बिल्स विच डील्स विद द सब्जेक्ट गिवन इन आर्टिकल 110 प्लस एनी अदर सब्जेक्ट. तो आइडियली आधार वहीं पे होना चाहिए था. ठीक है, तो अब इस बिल में बिकॉज मनी बिल वाले सब्जेक्ट हैं, नो टैक्सेशन विदाउट रिप्रेजेंटेशन का कॉन्सेप्ट होता है, इसलिए फाइनेंस बिल सेक्शन ए विल ऑलवेज बी इंट्रोड्यूस्ड इन लोकसभा. पर लोकसभा में ये पास होने के बाद इट बिकम्स अ ऑर्डिनरी बिल. तो उसकी क्या फीचर्स होते हैं? हाइब्रिड फीचर्स होते हैं. इसलिए आफ्टर जस्ट दैट इट इज इंट्रोड्यूस्ड इन लोकसभा, राज्यसभा हैज द इक्वल पावर्स एंड इट इज सीन एज एन एनी ऑर्डिनरी बिल. यहां तक कि उसमें ज्वाइंट सिटिंग भी हो सकती है. फाइन, तो ये प्रिंसिपल आप याद रखिए. अब फाइनेंस बिल कैटेगरी बी, वो तो काफी सिंपल सी चीज है. उसमें क्या है कि कोई भी बिल विच इन्वॉल्व्स not taxation etc, just a proposal for expenditure from consolidated fund of India. So in that case it is simple ordinary bill, or it can be introduced, it doesn't require recommendation of president, but at the time of passing it requires recommendation of president. So now on the basis of this knowledge, now let us understand with reference to the finance bill and money bill in the Indian Parliament, consider the following statements, and how many statements are correct. When Lok Sabha transmits final bill to finance bill to Rajya Sabha, it can amend or reject the bill. Correct. क्योंकि लोक सभा से पास होने के बाद फाइनेंस बिल बन जाता है ऑर्डिनरी बिल. सिर्फ एक फॉर्मेलिटी ये है कि ये वाला जो फाइनेंस बिल है ये प्रेसिडेंट के रिकमेंडेशन पर ही या रिकमेंडेशन पे और लोकसभा में इंट्रोड्यूस होगा. इसके अलावा कोई और डिफरेंस नहीं है. तो जैसे ही राज्यसभा में पहुंचता है, मतलब ओरिजिनेट नहीं हो सकता है. ठीक है, अब जैसे ही दिस विल रीच टू राज्यसभा, देन राज्यसभा हैज ऑल द पावर्स. Fine. So when Lok Sabha transmits the finance bill to Rajya Sabha, it can amend or reject the bill. Answer is correct. So this is correct. When Lok Sabha transmits money bill to Rajya Sabha, it cannot amend or reject the bill. It can only make recommendations. Correct. This itself is mentioned in Article 109 Clause 2. तो ये correct है, ये भी करेक्ट है. 1 and 2 आर करेक्ट. So in case of disagreement between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, there is no joint sitting for the money bill. Correct. But a joint sitting becomes necessary for finance bill? No, joint sitting is not necessary. It depends upon president और काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स. तो ये नेसेसरी नहीं है. बिकॉज ऑफ नेसेसरी ये रॉन्ग हो जाता है. तो 1 and 2 इज करेक्ट. सो आंसर विल बी बी. Now come to this. Yes. Within a state, the notification of an area as scheduled area takes place through an order of the president. Correct. Article 244 में दिया हुआ है how to administer scheduled areas and tribal areas. In Article 244, it is also mentioned like 5th schedule and 6th schedule. So scheduled areas are in 5th schedule. तो 5th schedule में हमेशा प्रेसिडेंट के पास पावर ज्यादा होगी, और जो ट्राइबल एरियाज हैं आसाम, मेघालय, मिजोरम, त्रिपुरा, विच इज देयर इन द 6th शेड्यूल, फॉर द सेक ऑफ ग्रेटर ऑटोनॉमी गवर्नर हैज मोर पावर. सो यहाँ पे तो प्रेसिडेंट्स ऑर्डर इज करेक्ट. सो विद इन अ स्टेट द नोटिफिकेशन ऑफ एन एरिया takes place through an order of the president. Correct. The largest administrative unit forming the scheduled area is district, and the lowest is the cluster of villages in the block. Answer is yes. Fine. The chief minister of the concerned state are required to submit the annual reports. No, chief minister does not submit the annual report. Who submit the annual report? Governor. Fine. So 3 is wrong, 1 and 2 is correct. So answer is B. Now next is question number 9. Supreme Court of India has held in some judgment means Indira Sahani judgment, Nagraj case, that reservation policies made under Article 16 clause 4 of the Constitution would be limited by Article 335 for maintenance of efficiency of administration. Statement is correct. Article 335 of the Constitution of India defines the term efficiency of administration. No, it mentions the term. It does not define the term. Fine. So when our Constitution doesn't define secularism, it doesn't define backwardness, it doesn't define socialism, it doesn't define anything. That's why our Constitution is known as what? It is known as lawyer's paradise. फाइन. तो ऑब्वियसली ये तो कॉमन सेंस से आप कह सकते हैं, जहां भी आ जाए डिफाइन ऐसा नहीं होता. ठीक है, तो हम क्या कह सकते हैं, आर्टिकल 335 डिफाइन नहीं करता. सो स्टेटमेंट 1 इज करेक्ट, स्टेटमेंट 2 इज रॉन्ग. सो द आंसर इज सी. Now, with reference to home guards, consider the following statements. Home guards are raised under Home Guard Act and rules of central government. No, home guard क्या है, एक auxiliary पुलिस टाइप है. तो आप गेस वर्क कर सकते हैं कि होम गार्ड का फंक्शन क्या है, टू असिस्ट द पुलिस. अब पुलिस इज व्हाट, द स्टेट सब्जेक्ट. सो home guards are raised under Home Guard Act and rules of state governments. The role of home guard is to serve as an auxiliary force to the police in the maintenance of internal security. Yes, so 1 is wrong because यहाँ पे क्या आना चाहिए था, state government. To prevent infiltration on international border or coastal areas, the border wing home guards have been raised. Yes, so in border areas like Punjab, in northeast, this has been done. So answer is 2 and 3. So the answer will be B. Now with reference to India, consider the following pairs. So I'll call it a difficult question because normally we do not do these acts so much in detail, but from now onwards we will have to see the acts in detail. So unauthorized wearing of the police or the military uniforms, this is mentioned in Official Secrets Act because this was what brought by the colonial state, and any Indian, if it is trying to do any such thing, was subjected to punishment. So 1 is correct. Knowingly misleading or otherwise interfering with the police officer or a military officer when engaged in the duties is mentioned in Indian Evidence Act. No, this is also mentioned in Official Secrets Act. So 2 is again wrong. 1 is right. Celebratory gunfire which can endanger the personal safety, correct. It is mentioned in Arms Act. So 1 and 3 is correct. So B is the answer. So I believe that बिफोर मीन्स लास्ट ईयर से पहले जिस तरीके से ऑप्शंस बनाए जाते थे वो शायद ज्यादा डिफिकल्ट था. अभी तो बस ओनली 2, ये नहीं पूछ रहे हैं 1 and 2 करेक्ट है, 2 and 3 करेक्ट है, तो करेक्ट करने के चांसेस मुझे लगता है ज्यादा हो जाते हैं. तो आंसर हो गया 2, 3 करेक्ट है, 1 करेक्ट है, 2 रॉन्ग है। नाउ consider the following statement in respect of national flag of India. Why this question? Because celebrating the 75th year of independence, Prime Minister Modi has also launched Har Ghar Tiranga, and flag code was to be reformed to allow the private offices, private parties to put here these flags. So वो न्यूज में था, तो ये थोड़ा आप करंट का मानेंगे, और इसका मतलब है कि करंट में जो पॉलिसी क्वेश्चंस आते हैं उससे रिलेटेड हमको पॉलिसीज से भी ज्यादा लॉस पर ध्यान देना है। फाइन, सो नाउ द क्वेश्चन इज, या तो दिस में नॉट बी अ पॉलिटी क्वेश्चन, यू कैन कॉल इट एज अ जीके क्वेश्चन। फाइन, वन ऑफ द स्टैंडर्ड साइजेस ऑफ the national flag of India is 600 mm and 400 mm. No, in the flag code this is the size not mentioned. Fine, so factual question है, flag code को आप देख लीजिए, 6000 mm different combinations है, लेकिन ये नहीं है। Now statement, ratio of the length to the height or width of the flag is 3:2, that is correct. So statement 1 is incorrect and statement 2 is correct, so the answer is D. ठीक है, now come to this. According to the Constitution of India, the central government has a duty to protect the states from internal disturbances. So many times we have discussed in center-state relations. So Article 355, it is a duty. और हमेशा I have told कि in 352 they have replaced internal disturbances by armed rebellion, but ये चेंज यहाँ पर नहीं किया गया है, तो आर्टिकल 355 ये करेक्ट है। कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया exempts the state from providing legal counsel to a person being held for preventive detention. अब इसमें दो चीजें हैं, कॉमन सेंस से भी की जा सकती है कि स्टेट्स, पहली बात तो हाउ कैन एनीवन बी डिप्राइव्ड ऑफ लीगल काउंसलिंग, फिर स्टेट क्यों? फाइन, प्रिवेंटिव डिटेंशन लॉ तो यूनियन के भी होते हैं, तो ओनली स्टेट विल बी डिप्राइव, यानी कि ये क्वेश्चन वैसे भी थोड़ा अगर हम ऊपरी तौर से भी देखें तो ये थोड़ा सा इलॉजिकल लग रहा है, तो 2 विल बी रॉन्ग। नाउ अकॉर्डिंग टू प्रिवेंशन ऑफ टेररिज्म एक्ट 2002, confession of the accused before the police cannot be used as evidence. You can say that this is wrong actually. तो नॉर्मल केसेस में एविडेंस एक्ट ये बताता है कि पुलिस के सामने जो कन्फेशन लिया गया उसको एविडेंस नहीं कहते हैं, बट स्पेशल लॉज जैसे टाडा है या पोटा है उसमें ये चेंजेस हैं। हालांकि अगर हम केस लॉस की बात करें तो व्हाट वी विल फाइंड दैट there is an inconsistency in the judgment, and Supreme Court's direction of interpreting is that even the principles of Evidence Act, where confession before the police is not considered, such principles should also be applied in this case. तो अभी हम we will take more as a matter of fact of law, तो इसलिए ये particular question में 1 is correct, 2 is wrong. Confession of accused cannot be used as an evidence. It can be used. It is possibility. Fine. So only 1 is correct. 3 is also wrong. 2 is also wrong. So only 1. So answer will be A. Now again see president selection, and now you will not say that why I have given so much time on this. Fine. So the members nominated to the either House of Parliament or state legislative assemblies are also eligible to be included in the electoral college of president. Answer is no. And in the class I told you why. Because president is indirectly elected. Indirectly elected means the elected members will be electing. So, but natural nominated members will never be a part of this election because they are nominated. अगर नॉमिनेटेड मेंबर्स होते तो फिर वो इनडायरेक्ट इलेक्शन नहीं होता. फाइन. सो द मेंबर्स are also eligible. No, higher the number of elective assembly seats, higher is the value of the vote of each MLA of that. तो इसके लिए ये समझना है कि वैल्यू ऑफ वोट ऑफ एन MLA का फॉर्मूला क्या है? पॉपुलेशन ऑफ स्टेट अपॉन द स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ, या आप कह सकते हैं इलेक्टेड मेंबर्स ऑफ स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली. फाइन. डिवाइडेड बाय 1000. ठीक है. तो इसमें क्या हो रहा है? पॉपुलेशन एंड सीट्स में इनवर्सली प्रोपोर्शनल रिलेशन है. तो उसके बेसिस पे हम लगा सकते हैं हायर द नंबर ऑफ असेंबली सीट्स, हायर इज द वैल्यू. नो, क्योंकि ये डिनोमिनेटर में है, तो ये जितना ज्यादा होगा उतना ज्यादा वैल्यू कम होगा. और इसका मतलब है जिस स्टेट में सीट्स ज्यादा होगी, ठीक है, तो उस स्टेट के MLA के वोट का वैल्यू कम होगा. ये इनवर्सली प्रोपोर्शनल है. और ये क्यों किया गया है? मैंने बताया था कि एक पैरिटी मेंटेन करने की बात की जाती है, जिससे कि जो स्मॉलर स्टेट्स हैं उनको भी डिसएडवांटेज नहीं हो. फाइन. तो ये इसका आंसर क्या हो जाएगा? हायर द नंबर. तो नहीं, ये इनवर्सली प्रोपोर्शनल होगा, यानी ये रॉन्ग है, ये भी रॉन्ग है. वैल्यू ऑफ अ वोट ऑफ ईच MLA ऑफ MP इज ग्रेटर देन दैट ऑफ केरला. उसके लिए आई वुड लाइक टू टेल यू वन फैक्ट related to it. और जो मैंने एक पेपर भी सर्कुलेट किया था उसको देख सकते हैं क्लास में, उसमें हर उसकी सीट का ये दिया गया था. ठीक है. तो यहां पर एक फैक्ट ये है कि MP के जो मेंबर्स है उनका जो वैल्यू है वो है 131 और केरला का है 152. ठीक है. तो इसका रीजन क्या है? इसका रीजन यही है कि वैल्यू ऑफ अ वोट ऑफ ईच MLA ऑफ मध्य प्रदेश इज ग्रेटर देन दैट ऑफ केरला. आंसर इज नो. व्हाई? बिकॉज द सीट्स इन MP इज मोर. तो वो इनवर्सली प्रोपोर्शनल हो गया. ठीक है. तो वैल्यू ऑफ MP वोट इज लेस एंड दैट ऑफ केरला इज मोर, यानी कि दिस इज ऑल्सो रॉन्ग. नाउ वैल्यू ऑफ वोट ऑफ ईच MLA ऑफ पुडुचेरी इज हायर देन दैट ऑफ अरुणाचल प्रदेश बिकॉज द रेशियो ऑफ द टोटल पॉपुलेशन इज ग्रेटर एज कंपेयर टू अरुणाचल प्रदेश. तो पौंडीचेरी के मेंबर्स की वैल्यू है 16, अरुणाचल प्रदेश के मेंबर्स की वैल्यू है 8. ठीक है. और ये पौंडीचेरी और अरुणाचल पॉपुलेशन इज ऑलमोस्ट सिमिलर, लेकिन क्यों ऐसा हो रहा है? बिकॉज द नंबर ऑफ सीट्स आर मोर इन अरुणाचल प्रदेश. फाइन. सो द value of vote of each MLA of Puducherry is higher than Arunachal Pradesh. Correct, because Puducherry का 16, अरुणाचल प्रदेश का 1, तो दे हो गया correct. Rest is wrong. Fine. So what is going to be the answer? The answer will be only 1. So answer is A. Fine. Now let us move to the next question. Fine. So now let us move to the, okay, so I think that is the last question. Hopefully ये discussion आपको यूजफुल लगेगा और स्पेशली मैं ये बताना चाहूंगी कि आपका जो पेपर हो गया है आप आज उसको चेक कर लीजिए और कल भी चेक कर लीजिए, फिर 1-2 दिन थोड़ा सा रेस्ट कर लीजिए और फिर से आप रीस्टार्ट कीजिए। ये मैसेज सभी तरीके के बच्चों के लिए है। जिनका एग्जाम अच्छा हुआ है वो मेंस के लिए तुरंत तैयार हो जाएं, जिनका नहीं अच्छा हुआ है वो भी तैयार हो जाएं। क्यों? क्योंकि ये जो प्रिपरेशन है इसमें कोई बड़ा गैप नहीं आना चाहिए, चीजें चलनी चाहिए, शो मस्ट गो ऑन। और किसी भी सूरत में अगर आप एग्जाम वाले मोड में नहीं आएंगे तो आपका प्रिपरेशन अप टू द मार्क नहीं होगा। तो अब दो सूचनाएं। पहली सूचना है कि 1 जून को 11 बजे हमारे 32B प्रेमाइस में एक वी आर ऑर्गेनाइजिंग अ वर्कशॉप फॉर दिस ईयर्स मेंस, where you will come to know about what is in the store in the form of general studies for as the crash course for the general studies। तो आप इसके लिए you are most welcome। और जो लोग अभी तैयारी स्टार्ट करने वाले हैं तो you can take the advantage of our integrated courses and you can see the detail of the integrated courses, and you are most welcome to attend the workshop on 2nd June for the batch which we are going to start on 20th June. The 2nd June workshop will be at 5 p.m. at our 25 Pusa Road premise. So I am writing it down. 1st June 11 a.m. 32 Pusa Road premise, and 2nd June 5 p.m. 25 Pusa Road premise. This is for mains. This is our integrated foundation batch. Fine. So now, best of luck to all of you. Thank you.